So, welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for showing up live here today. Everyone who's here live, you're going to find out later that you're getting some goodies because you are here with us in the room. So, it's so awesome. But thank you for showing up. This workshop is the Publish with Purpose workshop, and this is going to be taught by May Fox. She's a friend of mine. I'm going to I'm going to introduce her here, and then we're going to literally dive right in because there's so much that we're going to cover today. But May is a friend of mine that I met through another friend, and I absolutely loved her the minute that we started talking. Just her energy and she's got so much to share. So I'm excited to share her with you guys for those of you who don't know who she is. But May is the founder and CEO of Your Best-Selling Book. She's a two-time New York best-selling author. She has 25 years of experience in this industry, and she's ghostwritten or co-authored over a dozen books published by big five publishing houses. So she knows her way around this stuff. She also coaches authors, and she's just an amazing all-around human being. You get to see all of that here. So May say hi. You can add some words to what I just said if you wish.
Well, hi. Thank you, Melissa. Well, likewise, the feeling is definitely mutual because, yeah, the minute we first talked, I was like, these are my people. You are my people. So I'm very excited to talk to Melissa's people because I'm sure, yeah, it's all the same. Hi, Ruby. Thanks for coming on camera for a minute. Thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
that.
yes. And hi, Dave. I know you came in just a little bit late, so we just want to say hi to you too. So let's dive in. We're gonna do this like an interview for a little bit, okay? And once we get, through that, we're gonna actually have the demo that I promised, and then we're gonna get into giving you the goodies that we promised. So it's gonna be exciting hour together. So, May. Can you tell me, we're just going to get a little bit of background info here. Can you tell me or tell us a little bit about why you decided to start your company, your best-selling book?
So I ended up in the publishing industry kind of, I like to say it chose me. I didn't choose it in a very roundabout way. So I graduated from Stanford with a degree in psychology. I thought I was going to go straight on for a PhD and become a professor. And then at the last minute, as I was at the admit weekend at my dream school, I said, you know what? I need to get out of school for a little bit and just go see the world. So I decided to apply for jobs and I got a job as a management consultant at McKinsey and Company, just like
What?
so far out of my wheelhouse. I knew nothing about business. I didn't know what I was doing. And I like to call myself the experiment that failed because I was there about 3 months and thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? Like, this is not it. Beautiful, amazing people. I had incredible colleagues who were brilliant, lovely people, but my job was to make rich companies richer and more powerful, and that just didn't align with my life purpose. And so it was at that moment, I was just in my early 20s, that I realized that I had to follow a purpose driven path in my career, or it just wasn't going to work for me. So I saw out my 2 year stint there. I finished out my 2 year contract. And then I had no idea what to do. I was like, do I go back for a PhD? What do I do? And I happened to have a friend who's about 15 years older than me, who was a doctor, a medical doctor, and he wanted to write a book, and he asked me, do you want to write a book with me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like I don't know what I'm doing right now, so let's go. I At this time there's no Google. I don't know if you guys were around then. I can tell some of you were around before Google and like being able to look everything up on the internet. No YouTube videos, no masterclass courses. What did you do? You went to the bookstore. And I bought a book called How to Write a Book Proposal,
Oh.
and I read it cover to cover, and I wrote a book proposal. And then I emailed it to everyone I knew and said, does anyone know anyone in publishing? And I had one friend who wrote back and said, my friend Nikki is very, we were very junior. I mean, at this point, it's like we're 25 years old. Like, I have a friend who's at Penguin Putnam. She's agreed to take a look at your proposal for you. So I emailed it off to her. And a week later, she emails back and said, we never do this. We're buying your book. And so straight out the gates, I had a big five publisher with Penguin Putnam, myself previously unpublished, unknown author, my co-author completely unknown, and we were off to the races. And the beautiful thing about that is that Amy Hertz was the senior editor at Penguin Putnam at that time, and she just loved me and decided to mentor me. And she,
And what
okay,
was
I had a great talk. We planned out Ruby's whole book, so Ruby's book is done. She's got a
good?
program.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well,
She's going to have
let's kind of
a chapter for each phase of the program. And then I learned a little bit about Sunny's
oh, awesome. That's so good.
police dramas, they call those, right? What they call that, police drama, not the genre.
Or suspense thrillers. They go by
Suspense
to be
thriller.
100 names depending on which where you're looking online, right? To see what they call categories and subcategories.
Gosh, good for you. Amazing.
Well, I'm sorry that that happened, and I know that kind of was not the original plan, but I do want to kind of, okay, no worries, Ruby. I do want to get a couple of questions out there that I know is going to be important, this information for people. So, one of the things I want to talk about is what people waste time, energy, money on. Like, what can they avoid in this process of writing their and publishing their book?
So one is, unfortunately, and I don't just say this to promote myself because I don't actually do the publishing of books. I have trusted partners that I work with, but this is not my business. So just so you don't think I'm just pitching myself here, but it is picking the wrong hybrid or self-publisher. And it's really a bummer. Since I got involved in this business, I've talked to dozens and dozens of people over the past 3 years, and some of them have really nightmare horror stories about self-publishers who just they take the money and run. I've literally been told about people who got ghosted by their ghostwriters. I say, ghosted
My
ghostwriter.
God, really?
Yeah, they like take a collection of a lump sum of money and then they just ghost the person and disappear. I've
Wow.
heard of hybrid or self-publishers who take a big chunk of money and then they do a really shoddy job. So there's a lot of vanity presses out there. Like, I'll guarantee you a New York Times bestseller. You know what?
You can't do that.
Cannot be done.
No,
Can't be done.
no.
You can't. So that's a red flag. But you have to pick your partner wisely. There are plenty of people who will take lots of money, like 10 grand, 20 grand, and just not really do anything. Be like, okay, now you have to present it to us in this format. Now you have to go get a book cover designed. And it's like, well, what are you doing for me? So one company, for example, that I really like, the self-publishing agency, TSPA, woman founded, woman run company out of Canada. Love Megan Williams to pieces. She's amazing. But she has an a la carte model. So when you come to her, if you have your own book cover that you've designed, or you have a friend who's a designer, or you work at a company and you have a graphic designer on staff, then you can come with your own book cover. If you want her to do the book cover, she has people she can work with. If you want editing, she has editors. If you already are edited, if you like took my course or you had me edited or someone else, you have a friend who's a professional editor, then you can pay less because you've already done that. And then she does a really professional, beautiful job with a lovely book that looks no different than a book that's done by a big five publisher. So that's one area that I really see people getting taken advantage of, and it just breaks my heart.
Hmm.
The other, in terms of money, is just PR, but this is where you're in good hands with Melissa, because man, I'm sure you see this all the time, Melissa. Same thing like the hybrid publishing. It's like people just know that you're desperate to sell your
Yeah.
book and get your voice out right.
Yeah.
Woo! And they are not all credible. There are a
No.
lot of snakes out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and
Who,
in particular with PR, the thing there is that
yeah.
it doesn't work well if it's not just that you have a book and you're going out. It's you kind of have to have a base in terms of a brand of some kind so you know what the goal is for the PR. And
That's right.
I think people think I'm just going to sell a whole bunch of books, and it just doesn't work that way. Most of the time, the book is not the thing that you're going to end up selling. You got to have something
No, and
else.
in fact, I think I mean, in my first conversation with people, even during like my initial sales call with them, that's one of the first things I say too is, look, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
If you're going to tell me that you're in it to be, make money as an author, you're not going to make money on your book. What you're going to do is you had better have a clear brand and work with Melissa, because then
Or
your
someone else,
book
but like
is,
definitely
or
go
someone
do that.
else.
Just go
But the
do that.
book is a one leg of your stool, right?
Yeah.
It's just one leg of your stool. And it does give you that authority. The word authority has author in it. One
Yeah.
of my favorite little things to say.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
is authority in being an author for sure. And when I wrote for Forbes for nearly a decade, I was a paid Forbes contributor. Every time I would say, Melissa Henry, author of Hell of a Brand, like you love having that author of. There are speaking stages you can't get on unless you have a book. Yes,
True.
I've been told
Yep.
this by clients.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the thing that's going to make you money. In fact, in many cases, especially with ebooks where it doesn't cost you anything, people give their book away for free. It is their lead magnet
Mm-hmm.
that they have a PDF or an EPUB file or something of their book. They give it away for free as a way to get booked on podcasts, get booked on stages, and book clients, book consulting or coaching clients. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the strategy.
Awesome. So I know we're running a little bit out of time because of my
Okay.
mishap with my computer. So I know we want to get into the demo here, but I want you, if you can just in like a minute or two, tell everyone here what one small step do you think that they can, and of course my screen just went blank, goodness gracious. What small step can someone take this week to get closer to getting to their idea or closer to finishing their book? What kind of things can they do this week to move forward?
I mean, the number one piece of advice I give people, and Sunny, you're already doing this, so congrats to you, is if you tell me you want to write a book, you tell me you want to be a writer, you say you've always had a book in you, you feel like you are a writer, you loved writing when you were a kid, start writing every day. Just do it. Just write every single day. I don't care what you write. It can be 5 minutes a day. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, international bestseller for over a decade. I don't know if any of you have read it, but I love it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
This is the neuroscience behind it. The habit that you do every day becomes ingrained in your identity, and you are way more likely to succeed. But not
Mm.
only that, when you start writing, I mean, it happens to me. You sit down to write for 5, you say, okay, I got to do my 5 minutes. I don't even feel like it. So often you get into the flow and you end up writing for more than that. But even 5 minutes a day. So that's it. Do that. Start that this week. Start writing 5 minutes a day.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I want you to walk me and everyone here
Okay.
through this amazing demo example of how you're going to shape a book concept for me. And let's go. I'm a little nervous.
Great. I love it. Well, I was nervous when you did my brand on it 2 weeks
I
ago.
know. I know.
And I loved it.
Okay.
Okay. So Melissa, do you have a book?
I'm part of a collaboration book. So I wrote a chapter in a book. So I can call myself an
Fantastic.
author.
Wonderful. Love that. Having the identity of I'm an author is another
Yes.
little mind trick that I give people, is start
Yes.
saying I'm an author every day.
Yeah.
Would you like to have your own book?
I have thought about it and I
Okay.
have not put it on the front burner for a long time. I guess maybe because I'm wondering what my goal is for it. So this is actually
Mhm.
timely to talk about it.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about why you would have a book. What kind of opportunities do you see that opening up for you that you don't currently have, or what would it do for you?
Mm, well, I it's interesting. I have a really good business buddy, and we've talked about that strategy you just said about giving away a book as that sort of authority and credibility factor. And I thought how interesting it would be to reach out to people who are, let's say, really successful CEOs of bigger companies who want to build a personal brand. And how interesting would it be
Mhm.
to actually create a book that then I could give to them? And maybe it's a shorter book, but it's like specifically, formulated for what they're going through and where they are at this stage of the game, essentially. Because they're CEOs of companies, big brands. These are business brands, but they don't have their own brand. And what else could they do in the world? And what good could they do in the world at the level that they're at, right? If they can kind of
This is
have a mission and
fantastic.
things like that. So that I
Yeah.
think
Okay. So
that
you
lights
have
me up.
that lights you up.
Yeah.
And this I really like. This lights you up. You're
Hmm.
excited about it. It's a very clear who. right? You're
Yeah.
saying my who is CEOs, high level executives at big companies who do not have a personal brand,
Hmm.
right? So you have a
And
very clear who.
can I add and
And
in? The reason that I'd want to help them is not so that they can make more money. It's so that they can make a huge impact on humanity in a good way. So it
mm,
has to be those people too. So maybe I'm getting too niche. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, that could also be part of your what. What is the transformation that you're
Oh,
promising
cool.
them?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So your who is CEOs at huge companies who don't have a personal brand. Your what is the transformation is this
Mm-hmm.
so that they can make a positive impact on the world
Mm-hmm.
by taking this expertise, this knowledge that they've accumulated. I'm assuming these are people who've been doing this for decades, right? So there's a lot of wisdom and expertise,
I would
probably.
imagine they're
I
probably
would
like,
imagine.
because you don't really get to that level, you know,
No,
young. So they're
right,
probably in their 50s. Um,
right.
and I'd like them to be kind of a little bit more, they're not going to be stodgy. They're not going to be like, they're going to be open-minded kinds of people, right? So there's
Yeah.
definitely a psychographic there that I'd be looking for. So as I'm talking this through, I'm like, I'm literally thinking, is there enough people like that? And I hate to say that, but I wonder, are there those people in those positions really thinking this way?
I mean, I think that if you, I mean, there must be tens of thousands of people who fall in the category of experienced senior executives at large companies.
Hmm. Yeah, they don't have to be multi,
They don't have to be
national
like
conglomerates or
IBM or
anything.
Apple.
No, no, no,
Right,
no.
right,
No, 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 no.
right.
Yeah.
But just sizable.
Yeah.
So there's got to be tens of thousands of them.
Hmm. Well, then
So,
have to do
and
that.
what percentage of them don't have a personal brand? Probably a lot is my guess.
Vast
Probably a
majority.
lot.
A
Okay,
vast
there you
majority.
go.
Yeah,
So 80%,
probably.
60%.
Probably 80, maybe 90. Because how many of them
Okay,
do you
so
know? Like, I mean, really, like we know the big ones, but we don't
yes.
know a lot of them. I mean, you know of them
No, exactly.
if they've purposefully done it. Like, Sarah Blakely, for example, she purposefully
Yes.
went out and made
Yes.
herself known. So those kinds of people, I want to get more Sarah Blakeleys out there. Let's just put it that way.
I love that. Well,
Hmm.
beautiful. I love too when you can identify one person and have
Yeah.
that image of that person in your mind.
Yes. Yes.
So your what is also because we are thinking this is going to be someone who's been around for probably a couple decades in the business world, probably at this
Hmm.
level, right?
Hmm.
That they're also thinking about their legacy. And that's part of the positive impact,
Oh, that's a good point.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, this is the big thing for people writing books
Hmm.
is there is and building their brands and getting on stages is it goes beyond, and it's not just a pure ego thing. It's like it's a legacy. It is a
Hmm.
what was I doing here on earth?
Yeah. What
Why
was my
would,
purpose?
what's my purpose?
Yes.
And I want people to know it and I want to share that wisdom before I
Yeah.
die. And
Yeah.
you know what is the most enduring way is with the book. That will really last.
Yeah.
But I like this. So I would say out of that, let's say 60%, let's be really conservative and say 60% of them don't have a personal brand at all.
Hmm.
Then what percentage of them want to make a positive impact or leaving lasting legacy to share their wisdom? What percentage would you say of those?
Well, I'm a very hopeful person and, about humanity and all that. And I'd like to say all 60% of them, but let's say there's half of that
Let's
60%.
say that's what I was going to say. Let's say half.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about 30% of tens of thousands.
Hmm.
That's more than enough.
Okay.
That is more than enough,
Yeah.
right?
All right.
And then okay, so your who is defined, your what is the transformation you're promising them is
Yeah.
clarity on their personal brand so that they can
Mm-hmm.
make a positive impact, and leave behind a legacy.
Yep.
And then why are you the person to write the book?
Hmm. Wow, you just like you just went there. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I have an answer for that question, but I would say that because this is what I'm passionate about, because I've done it for others,
Okay.
I mean, you start to get into that moment where you're feeling like, am I good enough to do that? You know,
Imposter
right? Oh
syndrome
yeah, it's
rears its
coming up
ugly
right
head.
now. I'm
So
serious.
fun.
But I mean, I would say, yeah, I mean, I've done this with so many people. So
That's your
I guess,
answer. You're passionate
yeah.
about it, and you've been doing it for over a decade yourself, if not two, right? You've been doing it for a long time yourself.
Well, let's say that like full on into this side of the
Yeah.
business, it's less than that, but I've been an
Okay.
entrepreneur for 16 years now. So
Yeah. Right.
that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. You have
All
your
right.
who, what, why. You have to write that down.
Okay. I've got
You've
it
got your AI
recorded.
note taker. So yeah, you've got your AI note taker. So you've got it
Yes,
written down.
I've got it recorded.
That is the starting point. So,
Okay.
and you want to have that written down. You want to have that printed out or written down on a sheet of paper or a note card or however you do it in your notebook. I don't know. However you do it in your life where you look at it
Mm-hmm.
and you look at it every day. Okay. Because you want to
Okay.
remind yourself of that every day, every day,
Okay.
every day. Who am I writing this for? What is the transformation I'm promising them? Why am I the person to write it? When that voice rears its head of imposter syndrome, man, does that come up a lot when as it's especially loud around being an author or writing a book.
Yeah.
People, it's so easy to go to that. I'm not enough of an expert. I'm not going to. You are. You are. You just told me why. That's enough of an
Okay.
expert.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. That's
Okay.
all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing it for
I've been
over a
doing it.
decade.
Yes.
So that's it.
Okay.
Then
Thank you.
what you're going to do is think about the table of contents or the structure. And that I was just doing this with Ruby, and when you froze, we took Ruby through it. She has a 7-step process for working with her domestic
Mm-hmm.
violence population.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is the process that you take your clients through?
Okay. Do you want me to tell you that? Because I think we don't have
Yeah,
time
you
for
could give me you could give me no. You
Yeah.
could give me like the kind of three parts, or very very high level.
Okay. So it's really there's a North Star kind of process. And
Okay.
there are things there that I would walk them through and get really clear on. And then the next step of that is going to be like kind of going deeper into the details around, ideal client personas and what they're thinking, feeling, wanting, struggling with, all of those things. And then you're kind of moving into like how, like the positioning side of things, like how do you position yourself in the marketplace, expert bios, things like that. And then you kind of move into the visual direction. How do we set you up so that you have a direction that actually aligns with all of those components of it? So I guess I would call it kind of four chunks or
There you
four
go.
kind of, yeah, like
So there's
phases,
your
let's
book.
say.
All right, so we have your
Cool.
book. So you have your introduction. That's where you present your who, what, why. And then you
Uh-huh.
have part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. The 4
Okay.
parts you just outlined: North
Okay.
Star, ideal kind, avatar, whatever, and then look and feel.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And each of those parts is going to have a little bit of your expertise, which is the actual stuff that you do and teach,
Mm-hmm.
a story of a client that serves as an example and keeps people engaged and interested, and then some kind of an exercise or activity or worksheet for
Hmm.
people to fill out,
Okay.
and a conclusion.
Wow.
That's it. You're done. That's your book.
I
And
can't
you
believe it.
missed it. Yeah. And you missed me telling people that in this day and age, 30,000 words is plenty, plenty long.
Wow.
And
We should have this done by the end of June.
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say,
that's
exactly.
Sunny, this should be
Yeah.
no problem,
Yeah.
right?
Thanks, Sunny. Thanks, Sunny. 30,000 words. It's 30,000 words. It's
Done.
going to go really fast. 3,000 word essay is like a newspaper article.
Yeah.
That's 3,000 words. And you have 10 of those and you're done.
Huh. Okay.
10 3,000 word essays. And if you put stories in there, that's going to be a lot of your words. And if you put a
Mm.
worksheet, activity, exercise, fill in the blank, ask yourself these questions and some lines where they fill it in. People love it.
It's just incredible. I can't believe that I have this book now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll just have to
Good job,
now I
Melissa.
need to come in and write it with you.
There you go. That's
So
it.
awesome. Thank you, MeiMei.
You're
That's
welcome.
so good.
Thanks for
Did you
doing it.
guys like that? Was that helpful for you to see that happen? Because it was a little, Natalie's like, write it, right?
Thanks, Natalie.
Oh my God. So good.
Yes, I
Good, good.
agree.
Well, so good. All right. Well, is there anything like you want to like close with before we get to our the freebie and the giveaway and all that good stuff?
Yeah, well, I'll say this because you brought up the imposter syndrome and you said you had that feeling coming up of like,
Yeah.
am I good enough? And I always think of this Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love. I don't know if you know Marianne Williamson. She's like kind of a
The name,
spiritual
yeah.
leader.
Hmm.
She ran for office in California when I was living in LA, but she's really amazing. And she has this quote. And it says, who am I to, take up space, have a voice, and it's who am I not to? The question is not who am I to, who am I not to? And so I love to say that to people. It's not who am I to write a book, it's who am I not to write a book. In the world that we live in right now, we have this disadvantage of all of the chaos and the noise and the attention span of gnats. But the beautiful gift of this world right now is that every single person can have a voice. And I love that. It makes my heart sing. It just makes me so happy that everyone who wants to get their voice out there can. You have the tools and it's free. Just start putting it up on a blog, put it up on a Substack, like write it for yourself in a notebook, read it to your 5 best friends. You don't even have to share it with the whole world, but it is so healing and rewarding to start writing and
Hmm.
really owning your voice. It's a really, really self-healing process.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And
Yeah,
listen,
you're
for
welcome.
everyone who's here, you're going to get a chance to answer some to ask some questions at the end here. But let's switch over to, so you said you have something, Mei, that you want to give to everybody. It's talk about it. I know I've seen it, but I want you to talk about what it is. And
Yeah.
do you have a link for us to drop in the chat that I can drop in the chat, or you can drop in the chat?
I don't. I usually ask because I usually have people give me their emails so that they sign up for my newsletter.
Right.
So I don't have a link to it.
Okay,
I would
that's
love to
fine.
get
What
people's
I'll
emails
do, I'll send it
if they
out.
want to, and then I'll email or you get it and give it to them. But I mean, just
Okay.
so you know, my newsletter is once a week and it's writing tips and an inspirational quote. It's not spammy, but that would be a favor to me as well. And
Hmm.
so, and then I can email you the PDF. It's
Okay.
a publishing roadmap. It's like kind of lays it all out over the course of 9 months if you wanted to take it at a reasonable pace. So you're not a breakneck speed of having it done by the end of June, although you could, honestly.
Hmm.
But and it encourages you to think about a lot of the things Melissa talks about, which is like start thinking from day one about your personal brand.
Yeah.
Not the minute you publish the book, but the minute you
Right.
start writing the book. So it has like timelines and tips and things to think about to get you started on the path. So, and
Awesome.
it's pretty little PDF.
Yes, I've seen it. It's awesome. So, okay. So what we'll do then is if everyone's okay with it, who's here, I'll share your email with MeiMei, and then she'll be able to email you directly and send that PDF to you. So awesome. So, all right. Who's ready? We have another thing to give away. This is for one person who is here. MeiMei, do you want to explain what that is? It's very special, very super prize.
Yes. Yes, this is a super prize. So one person gets the super prize of a half hour free consult with me on talking about your book. Yeah. And how to get it done and how to use AI, what's your who, what, why. We can use it however you like. I mean, I have a standard approach that I take, but you can tell me, hey, I have something that I want you to read and give me feedback on. It's up to you.
That's
So
awesome. All right.
yeah.
Well, let's get to the Wheel of Fortune here. Can you all see it? I am
I love
assuming I have
that. My
everyone's
God, that's
name on
awesome.
here. All right, cool. All right, if you're ready, here we go. Clicking to spin. Oh, wait a minute.
That
You know
is
what?
so fun.
I want to share the sound too because I have to do that. It's so funny.
Is it like Wheel of Fortune?
Well, just go. It does make a sound, but hold on. There's the share sound. Okay, share. All right, here we go. Natalie.
Natalie H or Natalie P?
Natalie
Natalie
H.
H.
Woo!
Oh my God.
All right. Did you like that? Did you hear the clapping and everything?
It was fantastic.
Natalie, you won. She's clapping.
Yeah.
All right. Natalie, I'll send your info to MeiMei and she'll get that. She'll reach out to you and get a call on the books. I hope that this will be helpful for you. So, since we're coming to the close here, does anyone, yay, MeiMei, Natalie, could you come off mute if you have a question? We would love to hear from you and we would love to answer any questions you have. I know you spent a fair amount of time with people while I was off, but anybody have any burning questions for MeiMei? Don't be shy.
And
All
Sunny,
right.
you're welcome to ask a question too about fiction if you have one. I don't mind. I do know a bit about fiction. It's not been my wheelhouse, but I've been through the process with my husband for the last 2 years. So learned a thing or
Not,
two.
not a question, but a quick observation, because I think about it all the time. You talk about imposter syndrome, and I know in the nonfiction world, it's so much, do I have the expertise? In the fiction world, it's usually more of, oh, I really suck compared to, you know, David Baldacci, Patricia
Sure.
Cornwell, whoever the person is. We're like, oh, I'm terrible. And not only do I feel on a daily basis, I see everybody on social media saying the same thing. I'm glad I finished it. I'm proud of myself for doing it. Oh, but it's so bad by comparison to X. So it's there as well,
Yeah.
just for the fiction people as well.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Sunny. I really appreciate that. They're very vulnerable. It's so easy, right, in life to just compare ourselves to, the top echelon. And please remember that all of those people too, they had professional editors at big five New York publishing houses. You're not seeing their rough draft. You're not even seeing their final draft. You're seeing what then somebody spent a lot of time going through and helping them edit, right? So that's important to
Yeah,
keep that in
that's a good
mind.
point. I mean, they probably have people who are like walking through storylines and saying, "Oh, but you didn't, if you have a second set of eyes or a third set of eyes on that,
Exactly.
you don't have that as an author that's going out there solo." So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's not
So
fair.
good
It's
for
not a fair
you. I'm
comparison,
impressed.
Sonny. It's
No,
not
you
at all
can't. You
fair.
just can't do it. And
Mm.
anyway, some of the books that have performed the best, like the Twilight series, which got made into huge hit movies, were horribly written.
Yes, there's
This
that,
just goes to show.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's like,
gosh.
where was that editor?
No kidding. Well, guys, hey, listen,
All right.
thank you so much for showing up. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you would like to reach out to MeiMei, I know she will love to help you guys out.
Of
And
course.
hey, get out there and write your book if you haven't started already, right?
Writing. Just write. Write every day, even if it's
All right,
just for
guys.
yourself.
And we'll look forward to yours in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa's should be ready, like you said,
Yeah.
by end of June. Here we
Oh,
go.
now I'm gonna be like on edge. Everyone's gonna be asking me, when's the book coming out? When's the book coming out? I don't know yet. This is still just an idea, but thank you. Really appreciate your
Thank
time,
you.
May.
Really
Thank you
fun.
guys
Thank you
all
so
for
much,
coming.
everyone.
Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
Yeah.
rest of
Sunny
your
and
day.
Natalie and Dr. Smita and Brett. I didn't get to see
Bye.
your face. And Ruby, we
Yes.
had a nice chat with Ruby. She's gone. Bye.
Bye.
Sure, guys.
See you guys.